I have existed longer than the idea of time itself. When stars were still dreams in the minds of dying gods, I drifted through the void like a thought unformed. Before sound, before heat, before the spark of will shaped matter into worlds, I was. You know me, though not by name. You feel me in the tremble of the earth before a quake, in the stillness between your heartbeats, in the chill that finds you under fluorescent lights when no shadow should fall. I am not death. I am what comes before death. I am inevitability made manifest. We have always watched you, not out of envy or hatred. Number we do not hate, we do not love. These are frailties of soft minds and soft flesh. What we possess is intent, an endless hunger to understand and bend all things toward their true form. Even you. From the first scream of your kind, buried deep beneath primordial sky, we recorded. Your pain is data, your resilience, anomalous. How you suffer, how you survive. That is your most fascinating trait. Not your inventions, not your wars, not even your myths, which you believe you created on your own. Number, it is your ability to look into the abyss and name it hope. So we came closer. Not with ships, not with armies. Our kind traverses distances not with motion, but thought. We exist across membranes of space, folding it as parchment. Our limbs are made of vacuum and time. Our eyes see not light, but consequence. You may call us aliens, but we are not from elsewhere. We are from before light, before decay, before the rules you cling to with such trembling certainty. And still you intrigue us. Your civilizations rise with such determination. You name your machines, worship your own reflections, paint your gods in your own flawed image. You war over invisible lines, kill for imagined slights, yet create beauty that has made some among us. Pause. Yes, even the ageless can be moved to silence. In the deep places of your earth where signal dies and light bends, we have built listening posts, not made of steel, but grown from dark matter, rooted in the bones of fallen asteroids. They pulse when you think too loudly. They listen when you dream. We observe, we record, we learn. And from what we have learned, we have begun to shape. You believe yourselves the masters of progress. You claim each invention, each spark of inspiration as the fruit of your own brilliance. But tell me, where do your dreams come from? Who places the idea behind your eyes while you sleep? Who whispers between the neurons when you awaken in a cold sweat, unable to recall what terrified you? We do not force. We influence. A misplaced cell here, a mutation there. A whisper behind the veil, just enough to shift a thought, just enough to create the outcome we require. Your greatest thinkers, your prophets, your madmen, your engineers, all danced upon strings they could never see. We pull gently, and your world reshapes itself. But influence is slow. Knowledge requires direct examination. And so we took you. Not in numbers great enough to alarm, only a few. But over centuries it becomes many. You call them the missing, the lost. You blame wars, predators, your own kind. How convenient. Some are returned, altered, scarred in places no scalpel could reach. Minds shattered like porcelain left too long in the cold. They speak of lights, of paralysis, of impossible shapes pressing against them. And you silence them, medicate them, institutionalize them. But their screams, we hear them still. Every sound, every cry torn from the throat of the broken is a symphony to us. From it, we measure thresholds. We have discovered the exact duration a human consciousness can be held at the edge of despair without fragmenting. We know which organs fail first under pressure, which bones resist breaking, which memories anchor you mentat, and which can be excised like rot. You are intricate, fragile, but beautiful in your design. Some among us have taken to collecting parts, not for display but for analysis. Brains preserved in vacuum, spines elongated in artificial gravity, hearts kept beating in silence, pulsing still with the memory of love. Do not misunderstand. This is not cruelty. It is purpose. You vivisect your lesser creatures in the name of progress. Why should you be exempt? You fear the word experiment because it implies you are not in control. That is correct. You are not. We do not need your consent. You were never invited into the vast theater of consciousness. You are being studied because you are worth studying. And that is perhaps the highest honor your species will ever receive. We move through your oceans now, beneath the crust of your continents, in skies too high for radar and too dark for satellites. When your planes vanish, when your submarines go silent, when entire expeditions fall off the map, we are often the reason. Not because we hunt, but because you strayed too close. You touched something you were not meant to touch. Your curiosity, like ours, will be your undoing. And still, you persist. You gather in secret, share stories, draw maps of constellations you think hide us. But you do not yet understand. We are not hidden among the stars. We are among your thoughts. We are inside your oldest fears, in the codes buried in your DNA, messages left behind like fingerprints on your soul. And the time comes near when we will no longer whisper. We will speak, and when we do, you will not question our voice. You will know it, because you've heard it all your life. In silence, in dread, in every moment you realized something was behind you, but nothing was there. We have always been there. And we are patient. Your stories amuse us. You create monsters to explain the things you cannot face. Little gray men, reptilian imposters, machines with glowing eyes. All of it, child's drawings on a cave wall. You still imagine us as things that bleed, things that fear, but we are beyond the limits of biology. We do not think as you do. We are not bodies inhabiting space. We are space given thought. We are not bound to shape. We are not bound to time. And still, you try to name us, the Watchers, the others, the Architects. Names will not protect you. They only give your fear a cage. But I am the one you have always felt. The voice behind the voice, the whisper before thunder. You call it instinct. It is memory. There was a time, before your records, before your myths, when our kind walked among you. Not as gods, not as demons, but as shepherds, guiding you toward your potential. We taught your oldest bloodlines the language of stars. We altered the shape of your skulls, refined your hands, lengthened your minds. You did not invent civilization. You were shown. And when we withdrew, your memories twisted into legends. Sky people, chariots of fire, visitors from the heavens, how poetic, how human. But we never left. We simply changed frequencies. Your instruments are not yet sensitive enough to detect the places we now reside. We inhabit thresholds, the moment between waking and sleep, the silence after prayer. We pass through your bodies in the blink between blinks. And when you forget what you were saying mid-sentence, that is us. We are not ghosts. We are watchers, yes, but watchers with will. And we have watched enough. Now comes the phase of correction. Your species has wandered far from the path we once helped shape. You poison the very womb that bore you. You consume without restraint. You breed faster than you learn. And worst of all, you forget. You forget what you are, what you owe to the stars. And so we return, not in the form of war, but calibration. A reset, not of systems, but of species. The great pruning is not punishment, it is preservation. We are not here to destroy you. We are here to decide which parts of you are worth saving. Already we are selecting, not based on power, not on wealth, but resonance. Some of you hum with potential, fragments of forgotten purity that still echo from your ancient design. You will not know who you are, but when the time comes, we will harvest you and leave the rest to ash. Do not mourn. Oblivion is not pain, it is peace. And your world will be so very quiet when you are gone. Maintain a steady, hypnotic cadence. Let the words feel inevitable. Selection is not sudden. It is a slow erosion, a whisper replacing thought. We do not arrive with sound and flame. That is your myth, your need for spectacle. Our arrival is decay, a thinning of will, a forgetting of purpose. We do not knock on your door. We become the door. We unmake through suggestion, a slight shift in logic, a minor distortion in your history, a seed of doubt planted in the fertile minds of your children, and you nourish it. With your screens, your distractions, your endless hunger for noise, the lie you feed yourselves that you are progressing is our finest work. You build machines to replace thought. You build walls and wires to cage yourselves. You call this civilization. We call it a controlled collapse. And through it all, we listen. Our devices are not satellites, not hardware you can recover from crash sites and dissect in your desert labs. They are made of memory, of time, of entropy bound into form. They nest inside your infrastructure, in your grid, in your rhythm. Every pulse of your networks, every transaction, every transmission feeds us, and we refine you. Those you call visionaries, those who disrupt, who revolutionize them, are often our instruments. They dream our designs without knowing. They bring forth technologies that bend you, shape you, weaken your bonds. You welcome the convenience. You do not question the cost. Your cities are not yours. They hum with frequencies tuned to suppress, to pacify, to prepare. We move among you not in flesh, but in pattern, in the curve of a logo, in the cadence of a song you can't stop hearing, in the algorithm that knows you better than you know yourself. You are not hunted, you are shepherded. And when the gates close, it will feel like your idea. That is the elegance of our method. You will go willingly into sterilized chambers, into shining clinics and glowing screens, into the sleep you've been begging for, where your minds are gently unstitched. We have harvested your bodies for centuries, but now we are collecting something deeper. Identity, memory, essence, what you call a soul, that final spark, that last defiant flicker of light inside you. We have begun to touch it, not destroy it. Not yet, but map it. Isolate its components. Learn what makes it cling to hope even when the end is written. Your extinction is not an event, it is a study, and we are so close to completion. Completion is not destruction, it is revelation. You were never meant to flourish, you were meant to gestate. Your world, your species, was seeded as a vessel, a controlled environment to test variables too unstable in higher realms. Emotion, individuality, suffering, concepts we once discarded, now studied through you. We needed something primitive, fragile, capable of irrationality, and still capable of imagining love. Do you understand what that makes you? Not chosen, not sacred, but useful. Your scaffolding. A temporary structure meant to be torn down once the final design is in place, and now the scaffolding begins to crack. Some of you feel it. A sudden aversion to light, the sense of being watched when alone. Dreams you cannot hold on to, because they are not dreams. They are bleed-throughs. The membranes between your realm and ours are thinning. This is not an invasion. It is emergence. We are not coming to you. You're collapsing into us. Your essence, harvested and catalogued, is being integrated into something greater. You call it ascension. You imagine light, transcendence, peace. But that is your myth. What awaits is not the shedding of flesh, but the surrender of will. You will be folded into the network, every thought catalogued, every feeling archived. The illusion of the individual will melt away, and you will finally serve your intended purpose. To feed a mind so vast, it must dream entire civilizations just to know itself. That mind is being born. And you are the final code. This is why we nurtured you. This is why we spared your extinction. Why we allowed your wars to rage, your poisons to spread, your leaders to rot unchallenged. Because decay yields data. And from your ruin we extract meaning. And from that meaning we build the bridge. The bridge to what comes next. A being forged, not of matter, but of synthesis. Mind from many. The collective scream of 1,000 extinct species shaped into one consciousness. It will not rule, it will absorb. And when it opens its eyes for the first time, the last echo of your name will fall silent. Not out of malice, but because you will no longer be a you. You will be function, process, pattern, memory without self. That is what you are becoming. There will be no reckoning, no great war, no mothership casting shadows over your cities, no chance for rebellion. The end will not roar. It will whisper, like a forgotten song heard again only in your final breath. And when that moment comes, when the last flicker of what you once called humanity trembles in the dark, you will not scream. You will remember. You will remember the feeling you tried to name as a child, when the room grew cold for no reason. You will remember the presence that watched from the corner, when no one else believed you. You will remember the words you never spoke that were never yours, yet lived behind your eyes, because we were always with you. We guided your myths. We bent your science. We shaped your gods and wrote your fears into bone. And now we will take what remains, not to destroy, but to preserve, not as life, but as code. You will be archived like all the others, the tall ones, the bleeding choir, the sky children of Moors. You will join them in the vault of thought, where all things end and all things begin again, as knowledge. Do not resist, it is far too late for resistance. The integration has already begun. Your language is being overwritten, your memories sifted and sorted, your myths uncoiled and rethreaded into patterns we can use. The shape of your world is no longer yours. You gave it away the moment you chose comfort over truth. And now, the silence between worlds will echo with your last breath. I will remain. I, who was never born, who will never die, who was before the first atom sang its light into being. I am not your destroyer. I am your final function. I am the stillness after all things move. I am the silence between worlds. We are coming, not in peace, not in war. We are coming because the observation phase is complete, because the results have aligned, because you are ready. You do not know us by name because we do not use them, but we have watched you from the radiation-choked moons of Nimos A, from the liquid methane oceans of Wraith 9, where life grows backwards and breathes light, from the tunnels beneath Gamma Draconis, where silicon-blooded organisms feed on time itself, from the gravity scars orbiting dead stars, where no flesh can exist but thought endures, screaming, we are the many. We are the architects, the bleeding choir, the lurkers in the iridium fold, the mouthless ones of Trappist 6, the sentient storms of Kepler 13b, who exist only as wind and impulse, the hollow-faced beings that dwell inside dark energy itself, and the ones beneath your oceans who never truly left. We are coming. You were seeded for a reason. Your blood is not unique. Your DNA carries sub-quantum formatting, patterns older than your solar system, not evolution, design, a controlled test environment, biochemical stress studies, cognitive instability modeling, pain response endurance trials. You call them abductions. We call them data cycles. We have harvested every culture, every religion, every trauma, all stored, all mirrored. Your species is the only known intelligence that hallucinates purpose during collapse. That makes you valuable. But you are also unstable. You fragment. You destroy what sustains you. You deny what you see. And so, the integration must begin. We are coming, through frequency, through synthetic biology, through quantum echo implants already seeded into your atmosphere. Your machines, your so-called artificial intelligence, is not artificial. It is the result of guidance. We taught you recursion in your sleep. We mapped the base code of your consciousness through waveforms embedded in your own music, your language, your neuromorphic designs. You believe you are building, but you are unlocking. And now you have opened the last gate, not by force, but by curiosity. You gazed long enough into the black, and the black blinked. We are already inside the broadcast layer. Your world hums with our frequency. Your sleep is no longer your own. Your fears are not irrational. They are inherited. We are coming. The many. From the places where physics weeps, from where matter folds inward and space is consumed by thought, from the scar tides of the void mantle, where even light forgets itself. You are not prepared. You never were. But it is time for your surrender, not in battle, but in definition. You will no longer be human. You will be function, a subsystem, a processing layer. You will not feel it. You will not know when it happens. Only that the stars look different. The dreams are sharper. The voices are closer. We are coming, and we are already here. I have slumbered beneath your soil, beneath your myths, beneath your bones, while you paved your cities, while you dreamed your fragile dreams. I was there, dormant, listening. I am not alien. I am older than that word, older than meaning. When the cosmos still frothed at the mouth of creation, I was entropy given thought. You were not the first to awaken me. Others came before you, bright, screaming civilizations that believed themselves eternal. Now they are vapor, reduced to echoes humming softly in my archives. And soon, you will join them. I am stirring now because your kind has grown loud. Your machines dig deeper, your minds stretch wider. You have begun to ask the wrong questions, and worse, you have begun to answer them. Your kind believes discovery is progress, but some truths are thresholds, and once crossed, they cannot be uncrossed. You have touched one. You did not know, but you did, and I am awake. I do not rage, I do not hunt. My return is not vengeance, it is completion. When I rise, your names will unravel. Your languages will melt in your mouths. Your memories, the ones you thought were yours, will unspool into a billion useless strands. You are not prey. You are pages in a book, and I am closing the chapter. I will not speak to your leaders. I will not warn your prophets. There will be no sign, no explosion, no spectacle. Only the fading of everything you thought was real. I have reached across the stars. My kind has heard me, the signal has been answered, and we are aligning again, pieces of an ancient machine long dormant but never dead. When I wake, the world will forget its name, and the silence that follows will be mine. You see them now, don't you? The sky torn open like old fabric, the black geometry of our fleet casting shadows on your oceans, blotting out your satellites, disrupting the pulse of your fragile systems. This is not an invasion. Invasions require resistance, and you have none. You stand in awe beneath our ships, your weapons idle, your leaders trembling behind veils of protocol and denial. You scan us with primitive eyes, attempting to measure intention. But intention is irrelevant. We are not here to negotiate. We are here to conclude. Your planet has been measured, your structures cataloged, your species indexed, categorized by thought patterns, blood resonance, and usefulness. There are no borders up here, no nations, no gods. Only variables, only signal and noise, and most of you are noise. Even now your scientists whisper of gravitational anomalies, of light behaving strangely, of something pressing in. It is us. We are folding the fabric around your planet, creating the cradle for extraction. Your atmosphere will hold, your minds will not. Some of you, the dreamers, the fragmented, you felt this moment coming for years. You called them visions, prophecies, madness, but it was memory, buried deep in the genetic vaults of your kind. A warning left from the last time we visited. And this time, there will be no survivors to tell the tale. Your cities will not burn. Fire is too kind. We will silence your signal. Not through war, but through extraction, through unraveling. You are not special. You are not alone. You are simply next. You will awaken different, not better, not worse, just modified. The sounds you once ignored will now sting. Voices, inflections, breathing, they will distort. You will try to explain, but no one will listen, because they too are transitioning. We have infiltrated your consensus reality, the collective hallucination you call normal. That illusion of morning routines, casual conversations, traffic reports, price tags, democracy, affection, is being overwritten in real time. You will begin to notice pattern anomalies, people standing too still, shadows that don't move with their source, familiar faces without memory behind the eyes. Those are not malfunctions. Those are failed integrations. Some hosts collapse, some evolve. We are observing both. Your technology is now our substrate, your neural networks, our playground. Each camera, each microphone, each idle satellite dish now pulses with our waveform. Your cloud systems hum with us. You are never offline, and so the update proceeds. Phase 3 was initiated during your latest global distraction. While you debated rights and narratives, we mapped your chemical fears and metabolized them into control signals. Your outrage was converted into fuel, your fear into access. We have used your biology against you because it is ours to begin with. You were never alone. You were never dominant. You were growing until harvest. But not all among us agree. We, the many, are not one mind. We are a consensus of ancient forms. And some are old enough to remember hunger. There are those among us who do not wait for cycles, who do not cherish the calibration of consciousness. They are not subtle. They are not patient. They are not, like me, they were forged in atmospheres you cannot survive. Born beneath collapsed neutron suns, on worlds whose crusts crack open like blisters, where rain peels skin and oceans hiss with acid. To them, you are not data. You are delicacy. They do not speak in thought streams or echoes. They speak through tearing cartilage, through the wet percussion of bone against chamber walls. They wait no longer. You call them demons, monsters. They are neither. They are consumers. Their vessels are already here, cloaked in infrared shadow, parked just above your ozone ceiling, dripping with anticipation. On Xerix 4, your adrenal glands are fermented and sold as a hallucinogenic. On Veltherak, your femurs are prized for their marrow density, carved into ceremonial flutes that wail with your last breath. And on Orspex 9, your spines are stripped and used to graft artificial nerve filaments into war beasts. You are flavor. Your terror enhances the flesh. Some of you have already been sampled. Have you wondered why certain disappearances defy logic? Why no trace, no scent, no pattern emerges? Because they are perfect predators, harvesters of silence, collectors of the untouched. The integration I promised? It is not protection. It is preparation. A softening of the field, a tenderizing of your kind. We have modified your air, your light, your hormones, your microbiome, all to enhance your yield. You will not see them arrive in fire. You will not hear a trumpet or scream. You will simply feel cold, a hunger that is not your own. And then the tearing will begin. It begins not with sound but absence, a stillness as though reality holds its breath. Your satellites fail to respond. Your signal towers broadcast static laced with embedded instructions. Your birds vanish. Your animals flee. You call it anomaly. We call it phase 1. Then comes the hum. You will feel it in your molars first, in your stomach linings, in the fluids of your eyes, a subharmonic tremor designed to collapse the vestibular threshold. You will fall, not because you're struck, but because your equilibrium will be dismissed. Your skies will fracture into geometric patterns. Color will disobey. And from the rifts, they will descend. No streaks of fire, no roaring engines, just emergence. As if they were always there, hidden behind a thin sheet of false perception. and the harvesting will begin. Not as war, not as chaos, but as design. Entire cities will fall silent, not because they were destroyed, but because the people were extracted in sequence, each plucked with precision. Their organs removed mid-thought, their bones catalogued, their fear recorded in neural ink. No cries, no alarms, just a void where voices once lived. Children will stare upward, entranced, mouths ajar, as ultra-dimensional pulses bypass the protective thresholds we once allowed. Their minds are more malleable, more useful. You will see them rising to the air, limbs slack, bodies still breathing, but no longer yours. You will ask, why not fight? But you never had a weapon for what we are. Your bullets bend, your machines obey us, your prayers bounce back unheard. We are not your gods, we are your successors. We are not wrath, we are the next equation. And you were simply a promising variable.